be talking about the Smarty Roping sled. But first, we're going to visit, or Alan's going to visit here with last night's round winner, Drew Horner. So I'm going to let him take it away, and y'all give him a big hand.
Good morning. Thank you, guys. I wasn't planning on doing this, but a lot of times the Lord does something in my heart, and I try to be flexible, but because it is Sunday, I thought I'd take 5 minutes and do just a little devotion, if it's okay. And I'll just tell you what word pictures mean a lot to me. Drew and I was just talking a minute ago how, you know, it's so important for us to have a practice program in the arena, but then out of the arena also, it's so important to have some kind of balance and a practice program in your life. And what's kind of cool, I think, is when you hear it, real application like here, it's great to hear in church, but it's also important to hear out here where we're at, roping and stuff. And Drew and I got to spend a lot of time together 4 years ago, and right when he was starting. And the reason that we got to spend a lot of time together was our faith. And I roped with him, and we got to, he helped me do a lot of kids camps, and he has an amazing heart for kids, and to watch him interact with kids was really cool for me. But then to watch from that time there until now, to see him here at the NFR and then last night winning the day money, really special for me. Because the competitive part of me, that's one thing, but the coach part of me, or mentor part, to see guys like Patrick and him and Trevor, and you know, also
whenever he was up here,
you know, have the practice program in place out of the arena as well as in the arena. But here's what we do at our camps, and hopefully it kind of means something. I got to go through it real quick because we'll talk roping here in just a second. But maybe you do it for me. Talk about our wheel.
The wheel, yeah. This wagon wheel illustration that Alan's kind of got, and it's awesome. It's all about keeping your priorities straight. As Christians, we have a faith in Jesus Christ, obviously. So just picture it as like the wagon wheel. Okay, you said you have your, what do you call it? Your axle.
The hub.
The hub, and then you have your spokes that come off of it. Okay, so there's a big circle of life, essentially the concept. And at the hub of our lives, me and Alan, speaking as Christians and believers in Jesus Christ, that's God. That's our faith. That's what we live our lives on. And if you see it, as the spokes go off, each spoke is a different aspect of your life. So in my life, it's roping, school, I guess, different priorities in my life, my family, my girlfriend, and all that. But if I don't have Christ at the center of my life, those spokes will get broken. Each spoke will start to deteriorate over time. They won't necessarily hit a rock and snap. Some will. Some you might hit a hard spot and just the spoke's broken and that part of the wheel is going to get weak. But sometimes you might get rained on and that wood and that wagon is going to deteriorate. And over time it's going to weaken and weaken, and then all of a sudden that relationship or that priority in your life or something happens, and then all of a sudden you just broke down even more, stuck on the side of the road. And that right there is a hard time in life when you're stuck down in the valley. And that's when you absolutely need to realize that Christ is the center of your life. No matter if you're a Christian or not, it doesn't matter. Success is based upon biblical principles. So putting biblical principles at the center of your life is Christ-centered, and it boils down to love and boils down to faith. And Christianity is not a religion. Christianity is a religion. Christianity is not a religion. It's a relationship. It's a lifestyle. And putting God at the center at your hub. Every single spoke will be like, it'll be iron. It won't be wood. You might fail sometimes. You might screw up. No human being is perfect. And God created us to be successful. And I'm not talking from a worldly sense. I'm talking about in a different aspect of it. So keeping Christ at the center of our lives has been huge for me. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have any type of blessings that I had, and if I wouldn't, I dang sure don't believe I'd be here if I didn't have Christ as my hub, controlling my life. So, and there's a lot of times when I don't put him as my hub. I really don't. There's sometimes I put rope in there. There's sometimes I put my girlfriend there. I never put school there, so but I do like school. But yeah, I mean, and those are the times that I find myself where like, oh man, I'm breaking a spoke. Something's happening or something's weakening in my life, so I got to go back and get recentered, get back and reading the Bible, get back into His Word, and then all of a sudden your wheel gets back strong, and then all of a sudden you're rolling back down the road again. And then when you do hit a rock, you're not breaking, you're strong, and you're living your life, and you're glorifying Christ with that. And, I mean, if you're not a believer, that's something you maybe go look into. I mean, it's a whole different aspect. Your life changes. Putting Christ centered first as your number one priority. You realize, and it's incredible to see what happens in your life when you let God take over and transform you.
That's well said, huh? It's cool. It's special for me to hear Drew explain that to you, because 4 years ago, me explaining that word picture, he already had faith in his life. But keeping roping simple is very important, and being able to break it down, but also keeping your life simple. And early on, I was, just blessed enough to have certain people in my life. One actually gave me the favorite scripture that I have. It was a pastor way back when Jake and Clay and I was going to a little church in Chandler, Arizona. And his favorite scripture was, "I trust in the Lord with all my heart, lean not to my own understanding. In all my ways I will acknowledge God, and He will direct my paths." Like Drew said, I've been trying to do that for 30 years, but I don't always trust Him with all my heart. A lot of times I try to lean to my own understanding and figure things out, but when I do, I'm not as successful as if I trust Him. Because He has a path set out for us. He has a career, a plan for Drew's life. I've been saying that to him ever since I met him, just imparting that, encouraging that into him, trying to help him with his self-image of who he is. And here he is now at the NFR in one of the shortest success stories there is. And it's neat when you trust Him with all your heart and let Him do what He wants to do with your life. It turns out to be so much better. Roping makes a very poor God, and that's why I say, let Him be in the center of your life. Roping is what I do, it's not who I am. Daniel Green actually coined that statement, and I thought it was so cool when he said, "This is what I do, this isn't who I am."
That's his platform.
Yeah, that's just an opportunity to meet people and share everything about what you're about. Horsemanship, the mental aspects of roping, your delivery, but also your faith, and what keeps the wheel on and keeps it. So many people will wait until the wheel falls off in their life, in their marriage, or in different parts of their life before they'll acknowledge God. What we're trying to do is pass it on to other young people. Me pass it on to Drew, and then Drew pass it on to other young people. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. Don't wait till the wheel falls off to look to God, but look to Him first. Does that make sense? I mean, I'll just kind of leave it at that. Do you have a closing statement real quick on that?
I mean, yeah, it's, essentially it boils down to giving Christ a chance. I mean, it's not like it's, you don't have to be a Christian to be successful. You don't have to be a believer at all to be successful. I mean, success is based upon biblical principles, and you can apply that in your life. But and happiness is temporary, and joy is everlasting. And joy is only found in a relationship with Christ. There's a whole new aspect to what happens in your life when you let Christ truly come into it. You become a new creation, as the Bible says, and I'm talking some spiritual terms here that might scare you off, but give it a chance. And I'd say go, if you've never read the Bible, go read the book of John for the first time. It's a great place to start. That's the story of Christ, and we don't have any faith or any salvation without Christ and what He did. And so I would say that's the final statement I'd have to say is go apply it, go open your heart to open the Bible and read it in the New Testament. The book of John is the fourth book in the New Testament, so go check it out.
All right. I'm going to let Drew go. Would you guys give him a hand, please? I'm very proud of him. He's not my son's son, but I feel like spending time with him, like him winning that go-round last night, it was like one of my sons that won it. So, thanks, Drew. I'll take that off before you. He's headed to Elevation Sunday. And I hope that didn't bother anybody taking a few minutes to share that part of of my life with you, but a practice program is a practice program, in or out of the arena. And I've really been trying at all the schools that I've been doing. I've done over 600 schools in my life. So along with the 30 NFRs I qualified for, I had to supplement my income with teaching and training. So the coach part of me came up, and I think that is how the Lord used me to interject with a lot of the younger guys in my life. A lot of the guys that are at the finals here I've spent time with and got to share all this with also. But not understanding your roping is probably the biggest setback that a person can have. And roping is a lot common sense. I mean, for me it's made up of horsemanship, the mental aspect, and mechanics, meaning your swing and your delivery. I'm going to try to throw a few tips at you here because I don't have very much time. But when I did design the Smarty, I've been watching how the machines and stuff, use machines all my life. I was the first one to use a machine to see how it was working in the practice program. Real life application. After you rope a machine, how do you rope cattle? That's the bottom line with one of these machines. So the corner on heeling is a big thing. Being able to, I heard Chris talking about the corner, and he said some very, I thought, brilliant things about how we should ride the corner. I mean, watching the hip of the steer instead of the feet so much. We use our peripheral vision to watch the hip of we're watching the feet, but we're using our peripheral vision to watch the hip. And these fundamentals are stuff that these guys are having to use every night at the NFR. I was in the training room with Jade Corporal yesterday, and Jade was kind of breaking it down with me like, gosh, when I get here, I'm getting so anxious, and I never get in too early. And I'm just like reminding him of like, what you do the best. Don't throw that away. What you do the best is watching that hip, using your left hand, keeping your spacing, and they can't get a steer away from you in this indoor arena. So just be patient and hold out. So like the corner is a big deal at the NFR. So that's one of the things that I tried to do with this machine that I designed, was put it on skis and where it would make a realistic corner so that you could get up in a normal position where you normally ride on a live steer, and whoever's driving the four-wheeler can give you easy handles. He can kind of worse the steer out in the corner. He can make the steer run up the rope. He can hang the steer in front of you, and you can get all these interesting corners. There's so many different reads when it comes to roping, like heeling. And the guy that can watch the corner, process what's going on in the corner, see the head horse leaving with his peripheral vision, and read that out, but keep that spacing and be right there ready to heel that steer on the first jump. Those are the guys that win a lot at the rodeos. Those are the guys, even at the low numbers, to where the headers can't handle the steers very good because they're doing all they can just to catch, and maybe their horsemanship isn't that good. And I'm trying to use, like say my machine for instance, to show them if you'll practice all kinds of different corners, a floaty corner where the header gets the steer's head and eases down the arena to where you have to keep riding your horse and holding your horse out and keep your spacing, or a real slow corner where it represents a steer getting heavy in the hole, where you have to get your horse collected and get him shortened up in order to come around there and stay off of the steer. Like Chris was saying, keep the rhythm in the run, shorten your horse up, keep that left foot shortened up, your swing with your horse, and you're able to stay off of that steer even though he's slow, and then melt in there and rope him on that first or second ropeable jump before a steer gets too heavy and starts dragging. The corner is everything. I mean, and I have that all the time affirmed to me because all kinds of low number healers are saying, help me with the corner, help me ride the corner. You have to develop a good left hand to be able to ride the corner. Whatever that corner is doing, it first processes here, but then it's got to go into here. I've got to either shorten my horse up and get out of him with my legs, or I've got to drop my hand and and really ride strong if he's running up the rope. I mean, there's a ditch on both sides of it. You're either having to really hustle to keep up, or you're trying to slow down there. So it's really, really important to get good at that aspect. And that's just one kind of an example there of, say, isolating a certain part of the run and saying, I'm going to get better at riding the corner. I'm not going to let this weekend getting on top of 3 or 4 steers or being left behind, I'm not going to let that cost me money this weekend. I'm going to take my weakest thing, which maybe is my horsemanship and riding the corner, and I'm going to make that my strongest point. Does that make sense? That's the best way to get better. But you've got to first isolate it, understand it, then you've got to create a scenario or a drill in order to be able to execute and make that, put that back into your roping, make that a strong point of your roping. So I did that. I made that to where we could read the corner and have a real, by not having the legs hop, I was able to do that without the tire on the ground kind of deal. I wanted the corner really bad. And I also wanted realistic legs to be able to throw a good loop on and be able to dally on. The dally is so much more important than people think. Why does everybody, when they're wheeling a steer, why does everybody want to sit down and hurry to the horn? Because they know that they got to get to the horn. They know they got to dally. Some of us are a little bit intimidated by the dally, and then some of us just know that if I don't get back down, I'll lose my rope. So if you don't practice your dally, if you don't put that in part of your everyday run, if you don't make that dally one of your strongest points, then your delivery is going to always suffer. That makes sense? Meaning right here, what is it that makes this loop work so good right here? Like a golf swing, the fact that I'm down in the saddle, my chest is right here, my chin's down, and I keep my hand in this position right here. Okay? Now, if I'm worried about dallying and I'm sitting down too quick and turning my hand over, what happens to your loop when you're doing that? If you're so in a hurry to dally, what happens to my loop right here? I lift my bottom strand up. And a lot of guys talk so much about putting the bottom strand down. What is it about putting the bottom strand down that's so important? You want to catch the right leg, right? It's like if I just keep my hand in this position, will I not do that? Like, you see how low that steer is right there? I've always thought of it a lot like a golf swing. How close does the club head come into the ground without hitting the ground? I mean, that same loop I throw there or on a high hopping steer is the same one that I throw there. Because of muscle memory, I'm able to control this part of my delivery right here. And when things are going really fast, I go from here to there. And because my release is nice and soft, my bottom strand stays down low, but yet it comes out of this type of a swing and the tip carries through. That way I always have a lot of tip coming through. It's interesting how roping, there's always a domino effect. Jade, Patrick, Paul Eves, all these guys rope exactly the same way as I do. If we have a steer off to the right of us, rather than worry about putting that bottom down, what am I doing that makes this work so good? The same thing as here, the same loop lets me rope it here or here if I'm a little out of position, or here or underneath me. Leo Camarella taught me that when I was 14 years old, and I never changed my delivery since then. So certain principles of roping are very important to get a hold of. There's a lot of information flying around out here. Make sure that it is the right information and it fits into this domino effect that I'm talking about. Meaning when you get a bad handle, you don't ride the best position in the world, where your swing and delivery allow you to rope a steer even if you're out of position. I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense, that I'm going to try to ride the best position I can, but if I don't get that, my right arm will get me out. What my left hand can't do, my right. And I've been thinking that since I was 14 years old, because Leo Camarella told me that. So I just kind of hung on that. That become also my philosophy of roping. And I mean, all through my career, I've really desired to sit up straighter, ride my horse better, get a perfect easy shot. But when I didn't get that easy shot, I still was making the shot. My last World Championship was won. My last shot was right here. Chad and I had to coil up, spin me one on the buck and shoot. I catch this deer, I win the world. I miss it, I don't. And I'm riding that little dun horse that Jade barbecued his fingers on the first night. Hard stopper. Right when I come around, the steer just hit and sucked down. And I'm so grateful of the style that I have. Because if I'd have put the bottom down, that steer would have moved right out away from my loop and I wouldn't have caught him. But it was just, I knew it was an easy shot and I just unconsciously just made that shot. Roped him way underneath me because I don't let go of the slack. I always stay with my rope. I was able to get my slack up and get to the horn, and it wasn't a big deal. But you only have that long on some of these shots to get your slack and get to the horn. You don't want to be having to reach and grab your slack. So anyway, I'm saying a lot of stuff really quick, but you can see how the position, the delivery, it all has to work together. The dally, the more that you're working on your horse, getting really good at dallying. If I say, heel this Smarty 10 times in a row, and after 4 of them, your horse starts getting you a little bit, there's a reason he's getting you. Meaning if you're leaning over a little bit, you're cueing him a little bit, you're not using your legs enough. I can help you with your body posture and your legs, and I can help you ride into this and dally 10 times in a row, and this horse never gets you. Your horse should never take a shot away from you, because he's not trying to cheat you. They're just a mirror of what we are. If we come around there and do that a little early and throw, what are we telling them? We're cueing them to throw. So that's why I really enjoy, I tell everybody, I want you to dally every time. So I can really help you with your body posture, with your riding. You have to ride all the way into your delivery, and without that, you're not really, well, it's not really a good practice program. So you can see there was a lot of thought that went into me creating this right here. And then last thing I'll say is, I can honestly look you in the eye and say, after I have 10 healers in the arena and I work with them and get them working, really, riding their horse good, getting their delivery really good, they go and rope cattle really good for a while. Really good. Lots of 2-footers, the whole group of them. And it lets me know that my machine is working. You know, instead of like, when the legs move, sometimes you get to floating it and pulling it too early and quitting riding your horse. And that's, for me, the bottom line. My time up? I thought I seen you over there. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Seemed like I was in a hurry the whole time, but thank you. Have a good day.